What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Steelers Breakdown Podcast. Nick Farabaugh here with you guys. Well, folks, we are officially on vacation now, I think, from Steelers football. 5 weeks really until the next big day, which is July 23rd. That will be, of course, the opening day of Steelers training camp because they will report, and then on the 24th, we will officially have the first practice. But until then, hopefully you digested a lot of OTAs and minicamp because all you get in terms of actual life football coverage. But I want to talk to you guys kind of about the overall spring. Let's talk a little bit about it. And let's break down some big picture takeaways that I had from this um, spring. So we had 9 practices, 6 OTAs, 3 minicamps. That's 4 less than they usually do. The Steelers did not use all 10 of the OTAs that they could have used. Instead, they shortened the schedule and trying to kind of keep these guys a little healthier and a little bit. They didn't think it was necessary, at least, to hit all those. And listen, I think it's interesting that they did that and then moved their training camp practices to the afternoon. It's going to be hot, and you better be conditioned. And you're not getting through those practices. Trust me. If you've ever been to Latrobe, you know how hot it can get at St. Vincent College. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, for cover there. You bake. So that's interesting to watch. Here's one thing that really stuck out to me this spring, and I think it was probably my biggest takeaway, and it was the detail the Steelers are coming out with on defense. More blitzing, more disguising, more kind of fooling the other team. Last year, this defense was way too vanilla. I mean, just way too vanilla. They did things that were just easy to read. Basic spot drop cover three, not a whole lot of moving around. When they did, it was a disaster. They blew coverages. And late in the year, they were even running basic coverages and blowing those. They couldn't run a blitz because they would somehow miscommunicate on that. The Steelers are focusing on a really, really close kind of knit nonverbal communication, um, which I think is a big thing, I think for them, which is saying, hey, did you get that? Okay, you got that. We're all good. That's just, I think, a key thing for this team to make sure they don't bust those coverages. But I just think it's going to be more versatile from, the fact that they can now kind of run different coverages, hopefully to the blitzing. I'm seeing a lot more blitzing out there. And so we'll see. I think this is going to be more like the 2020, 2019 defenses, where they had a lot of that. It's not, changing the scheme necessarily. It's just kind of trying to get back to unpredictability. And I think they're trying to do that. So that I think that's at least a positive sign first for the Steelers. That was a big thing, and Jared Alexander talked about that a ton. I think they really feel like with Darius Slay they can do that. So there you go. The other takeaway I had was from the offensive side of the ball, and it's just I'm sorry if you believe that this team is good enough wide receiver. I think you're wrong. Um, Listen, I watched these guys throughout the spring, and Roman Wilson had a good spring, but I don't really buy him as a wide receiver too. Calvin Austin, solid player. Again, do I buy him as a wide receiver too? Sorry, I just don't. Um, I buy a lot of these guys, more so with like wide receiver three type deals, and I think you could get really good play out of Roman Wilson. And I do like Calvin Austin more than a lot of people do. I don't like him as the answer though at wide receiver two. And so that's a significant thing for me. Meanwhile, I do think the Steelers um, kind of are looking on the outside and trying to find guys and just kind of see what's there, who's maybe out there for them to make move on, and they're calling around. But I don't think anything's going to be insane and kind of imminent on that front. We'll see if maybe something comes across real quick. They can, but I do think they're going to at least look. We'll probably circle back to Gabe Davis whenever he's healthy from the knee surgery that he had last year. That meniscus still not fully healthy for him. But just this spring, I just there were times when guys weren't open, and it was a lot of receivers just kind of not separating. Um, outside of DK Metcalf, I just thought there wasn't enough consistency at wide receiver. And so I do think, they need another option there. And so, if they're hoping to fix this internally, I'm not buying it. That's one other thing that I thought was really something that jumped out to me. I thought over the course of 9 practices, Will Howard started to improve. I thought that was a really kind of big picture takeaway. I was talking about how he was real rough during the first week. Things were just so fast for him, and he kind of wasn't really dialed in on coverages and couldn't hit the right guy based on the look, pre-snap, and the post-snap movement kind of threw him for a loop. All of these things kind of really messed him up. And I thought over the course of the 3 weeks, we started to see him kind of be like, oh, okay, I got this now. Here's where this guy's going to go. He's seen pre-snap indicators that are showing up post-snap. He seemed more dialed in. I thought that was good. So you're seeing Will Howard kind of take steps forward. Made a gorgeous throw to Darnell Washington during the 2 minute drill yesterday. So that was, I think, encouraging. For the Steelers as well, I do think that you wanted to see just kind of solid growth from your rookie class. I like the fact that you have detail-oriented players like Derek Harmon and Jack Sawyer and Caleb Johnson, who is just Caleb Johnson's just working so hard to fix pass pro. A lot of it's new to him, but I really, really do admire his kind of work ethic and tireless working to fix that. He's got the frame to do it. He's got the mindset to do it. This is a talented football player that just needs to put his head down and continue to work. And so he really is, I think, on the right track to fixing that. And so the Steelers, very much, I think, are very high on him. We'll see if he ends up starting. Um, but I do kind of think Jalen Warren looks really good, and I do think Warren's probably going to have the edge there to start early, but I do think KJ is going to have the chance to eat into that, especially on early downs. He's going to play a lot on early downs. It's just how fast does he come along as a receiver and as a pass pro player. I think that's going to be really important for him to kind of get on the field first. So here's what I kind of look at in the spring as well. When people say it doesn't matter that much, it really doesn't. I'm just kind of looking at overall things that I can take away from a 9 practice sample, and it's just practice. Guys should be failing in practice and trying things out, especially at certain positions, but you want to see, their kind of work ethic, where things kind of come in on that front, how much kind of are they asking questions, things like that. I mean, these are just kind of some things that I took away. I do think, and this is something interesting. Someone asked this yesterday about how much DK Metcalf can help Joey Porter Jr. So I want to start with that. First of all, I do think DK Metcalf can certainly help Joey Porter Jr. I think that's an important thing. I do think that, he's the type of receiver that gave Joey Porter Jr. trouble. He gave him trouble when they played in Seattle, in his rookie year, in the second to last game of the regular season. And I remember there was a play in 7 shots, um, where DK basically beat Joey on the same type of release he did in his rookie year, and DK was talking to him about how not to get beat by that, how to kind of read that, because other teams have kind of targeted him with a similar release and strategy. And DK said, "Listen, this is like kind of how teams are being." And so I think there's a mentorship there. I was super impressed. I was interested because DK Metcalf has this interesting reputation of kind of sometimes on the field, when you look at the tape, the details are sometimes lacking. He sometimes just kind of goes by his pure athleticism. The effort's not lacking, but the detail orientedness is lacking. And sure, he's an emotional player, but I think it's very much out of competitiveness in a lot of ways. And that my takeaway seeing DK is that extremely hard worker, extremely willing to mentor guys around him. He helped Will Howard today. I thought that was a really cool. Usually the fourth string quarterback, because that's what Will Howard's running right now, even though Aaron Rodgers isn't doing so. I guess third string right now because Aaron Rodgers is technically no string because he's not practicing in the team periods. Um, Usually you don't see your star receiver helping that guy. And Will Howard said, "Hey DK, can we throw a little bit?" And DK helped him and kind of gave him little pointers and things. I thought that was really cool to see. Um, Jaylen Warren, always runs out the end of plays. I saw DK running with him just to finish it out. He's tirelessly working after practice. You just see him embracing this culture. He doesn't see somebody putting in the effort, he calls them out. This guy puts in effort. And so I think this is a player that, at least culturally, can give you something in that regard. And so I was just really interested to kind of see how DK worked during a practice setting. And you can see the kind of tireless work ethic he does have. So that was another takeaway I had from mandatory minicamp specifically, is that just a tireless worker is DK Metcalf. So that was encouraging. Of the sleepers that I watched, there were two guys that really stuck out. One, JJ Goldbreath, tight end from South Dakota. I mean, this guy was catching touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. It was really kind of impressive actually to watch JJ Goldbreath kind of make these tough grabs. And so he's somebody to circle on your radar in training camp. I think he's a chance to make some push, at least for a practice squad spot. And then the other guy that really stuck out to me was Dante Kent, the seventh round pick. We're talking about a guy in the slot that I think people are discarding and discounting a little bit too much. And we're talking about a guy that made a lot of plays on the football over these non-practices. So I was really impressed by him. I was really impressed by his ability to retain information. I was really impressed by his ability to kind of, when he made a mistake, not make the same mistake twice. So I thought those two guys really stuck it out as well. So just wanted to kind of talk about the spring as a whole, not necessarily just minicamp, but those were some takeaways I had. I have a lot more thoughts. We'll continue that tomorrow, of course, and we will break it all down. Folks, make sure to leave your questions below. I'm going to try, especially with the dead period coming up, kind of between now and the training camp period, I'm definitely going to try and answer as many questions as you have. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for more. Thanks for listening, everybody.